Hey, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Recording these last two games because we had them left over from the stream last night. So first up we have Rosen. I'm not too sure what they're on, but unfortunately this hand is pretty rough. I think I would keep this if one of these Wastelands was a white source, then it's a pretty nice hand, but otherwise I'm going to ship this. It doesn't really do anything, can't cast any of my spells. This is a lot better, so I'm pretty happy to keep this, and the one card that sticks out is Jitte because I can find it with Stoneforge if I really need it, so I'm going to keep this and bottom the Jitte. Good luck to my opponent. Pretty nice hand as well. We have a no turn 1 play, which is big, but we do have something against unfed X and something against fed X, and then 2 pieces of removal, which is nice. Skyclave are pretty big printing for death and taxes. Just deals with a lot of things that I don't really like. This is going to be probably either Jund Hogaak or BUG Hogaak. I think Gravecrawler is played in both versions, but the basic swamp might give away this is Jund. Also, if my opponent casts Cabal Therapy, I think I'm going to Swords the Gravecrawler, but it looks like they might be following up with something else. Okay, this is going to be Bug. Another Gravecrawler. Another Gravecrawler, okay. So here, I definitely like using my mana. I'm going to Swords one of these Gravecrawlers, and I might even follow up with a Thalia here. It keeps both of these at bay, and it also makes Cabal Therapy a little bit worse. They only have one card in hand, so let's go with Thalia here. If they don't have a land, they can't flashback Cabal either, so they need to blind name something. They're going to attack anyway because they can cast and get 2 damage in, but at least we have a pretty free block here. There's no bridges in the bin either, so don't have to be worried about that. But so far so good. Alright. Skyclave. So I don't mind Skyclave here. I could also go Wasteland and Stoneforge Mystic, but I kind of like keeping the Wasteland around until I want to play my 3-drops, because I don't want to Wasteland here, play Stoneforge, get maybe Batterskull, which could win me the game as well, but I think here Skyclave is more than fine. Just to really bury them in some advantage, and try to take them off resources and creatures. Okay, this is more than fine. This takes up their whole turn, which is great. And they're just going to concede. Wow, so at least we know this is going to be the bug version, so not looking at Jund, so things like Careful Study over Faithless Looting. Let's bring in Surgical, let's bring in Containment Priest. I do like the extra parts and the rest in pieces. So it's 7 cards, which is pretty huge. The Spirit's interesting. Spirit can hit Cabal, Careful Study, but that's really it. The deck doesn't tend to play anything like card draw in Sylvan Library or anything. Revoke is interesting as well. Revoker does shut off Altar, but that's about it, and a lot of our hate is going to be shutting off or hating on Altar as well, so I don't mind taking out Revoker. Thalia is always an interesting one. Thalia is unique because it is a legendary creature, so if we have one in play and play another one, obviously one copy has to die, which is great against Bridge from Below. It gives us an easy way to actually exile opposing bridges. Prelate's interesting as well. I think Prelate can come out. Bringing in the extra part to exiles, I definitely don't want to be prelating on 1, which I'm going to say is probably the best name against this deck. 2 more. I do like the Stoneforge Mystic package. It can really help us either close out games or come from behind and get back into the game. Flickerwisp is interesting. It does have obviously some pretty nice synergy with Skyclave Apparition and maybe Stoneforge Mystic. You can get rid of things like 2/2 zombies because they're tokens, but I think just to lower my curve a little bit, I don't mind dropping out those. And then I believe we have one more card. It could just be a Recruiter. Recruiter is nice because it also gives me a body which hopefully could connect with a piece of equipment, but against Hogaak they can be pretty aggressive, so I'm not sure if I have the time to play a Recruiter and then go and find something that I need and get another turn out of it. I do like the mums because they buy a lot of time. I do like the vials because it allows us to use our ports and wastelands pretty efficiently. I think it's just going to be going down on one Recruiter. And hopefully this is good enough. I'm really looking for one piece of graveyard interaction in my opening hand. I think the best hand is like 2 lands, a removal spell, graveyard hate, and then maybe 2 creatures. So this will be interesting. My opponent game 1 had a very fair hand, to be fair. Hogaak usually does some pretty unfair things, and Gravecrawler into double Gravecrawler is aggressive, but obviously not that great against the 2/1 first striker, and also doesn't really build out their board in the way they want to. Huh. This is an interesting hand. So it has obviously some of our best turn 1s in Vial and Mum. It does have double Stoneforge, which is nice because Stoneforge for Batterskull can be good. This hand is pretty weak to, I'm going to say, a Cabal Therapy start. I'm not too sure what they would name in the blind with Cabal Therapy, and hopefully not Stoneforge Mystic. We know they have the basic Swamp, so if they don't go for that early, then Path is a little bit worse than it usually is in Legacy. But, you know, one land off the top is really nice here. I think I'm going to keep this because we're not playing against a Wasteland deck, that I'm happy to keep the one lander with Vial. But it is a little bit risky. I think if this was a really competitive league and I was 4-0 going through the 5-0, I would probably mulligan once to a piece of graveyard interaction. But I think this hand, if I can draw one land within my first 2 draws, it works out pretty well. The one nice thing is that I'm a little bit scared of my opponent going wide, but I do like here that Batterskull of Stoneforge Mystic can really help that not happen. Karakas is a great draw because we just saw Hogaak come off the Once Upon a Time. So we're just going to go with Vial here. I think it's better than holding up Path, even though something like Cabal Therapy would be a blowout. I think just building out our board state is a priority for us. I'm also going to not F6 on my opponent's turn to act like I might have something like Surgical Extraction. Time is always a factor, but I think here I'm 21 minutes to play 2 games at most. Bloodghast is fine. Alright. Another Stoneforge. That definitely makes me want to play a Stoneforge here. Just to get it out of something like the range of Cabal Therapy on Stoneforge Mystic would be brutal. So I think because we have Vial, what I can do is get sort of Fire and Ice here, which is probably the equipment that I care about the least. And then next turn we have a Stoneforge online, 2 mana, and an instant speed Stoneforge, so we can activate Vial, put in Stoneforge, get Batterskull, and then use this Stoneforge to actually put it into play. So, in a pretty nice position. Especially if my opponent uses their whole next turn to try to get Hogaak into play. I would have loved to have played another land, but I didn't have that. Just to hide the Karakas would have been great. Another Gravecrawler is going to be fine, and a Dryad Arbor. Wow, so a pretty slow start so far from my opponent, which is nice. Put in Mum. Tick up Vial. A land here would be great, because then I get to hold up Path and also Stoneforge, or Stoneforge and Karakas. Jitte. Probably the last thing that I want to find, but I can't be too unhappy, so I think he would just pass back. There is a case for second Vial, but I think that Path is just a little bit better. I also want to hold up Stoneforge Mystic here. Careful Study is going to be pretty good. Gets the Hogaak into the bin. Hogaak and Vengevine. So they're going to attack with these three. So let's activate Vial. Put in Stoneforge Mystic. Search up Batterskull. What I could have done to play around Abrupt Decay, I guess the Mum doesn't help, but what I should have done there if I didn't have the Mum is activate this Stoneforge, hold priority, activate Vial, put in Stoneforge, find Batterskull, and then this resolves, then I put in Batterskull. Because if they ever respond to me with the Stoneforge Mystic find ability, they could destroy this one, and then I wouldn't have the ability to put it in with Batterskull. Looks like they have a trophy on the Batterskull. Okay, that's pretty good. It does give us a land, which is nice. And I still get to block here, so let's go. Probably just block like this and give pro black because they can't cast it this turn else they have a land anyway. Pro black. They have a land. They don't. Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to keep the Path for the Vengevine. So I'm still going to keep this at 2 because I know about Stoneforge Mystic. I don't know about the top of my deck. And if it's a land, then we get to go for Jitte. Thalia. Thalia's not the worst, but I think here the better line is just to hold up my equipment. So it's just going to be a pass back. I'm actually going to put in Thalia now, just to tax them from something like another Careful Study. This is fine. No attacks is pretty great for us. So let's put in, I think it's Jitte. Sword doesn't get through yet. And luckily there's no bridges in my opponent's yard, so pretty happy to attack with this Jitte. Skyclave's pretty nice. So let's go equip to Thalia. First strike definitely relevant here. Can't block, can't block, can't block. What are we going to see here? Force of Vigor. That's pretty good. I think in response we just activate and put in Stoneforge Mystic, because it is free. What do they exile to it? Another Force of Vigor, okay. So this is going to be fine. Force of Vigor really nice there. Definitely a card that I like in Maverick because it can kind of get your opponent. There's a bridge, which is pretty huge. So now I kind of want to get rid of the bridge, so I don't mind trading with the Bloodghast here. Take 4, go to 6. Bloodghast comes back. And here's Hogaak, which is interesting because we already have the Karakas ready. Interesting they didn't do this pre-combat to get the Vengevine, but maybe they needed something around. I should have done this in end step because they could. No, they can't. It's all good, thankfully. I think here the best play is just Skyclave on Vengevine. And then pass. 2 cards we know about Hogaak in hand. Supplier hopefully doesn't hit bridge. Vengevine, okay. That's pretty good. See how they attack. Okay. Let's line this up so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so let's block here, and Mum can give pro. Let's block here. And then I can make them fetch if they want to play this. Maybe making them fetch is just better. Oh, I was supposed to give pro. Oh, good, okay. Thankfully, First Strike allowed me to do that. Cool. Get under 2. Looking pretty rough. I don't think we have a way out of this. Wasteland doesn't help. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 answers in a way. We can see how this works out. It's just a pass back. I guess Wasteland and Hogaak is an answer to Dried Arbor and so 2. Okay, there are some ways to do things here. Once is okay. Vengevine. Alright. So we can return Hogaak. We can go to blocks. I'm probably going to Swords the Vengevine. So let's go with Mum here. Thalia here. Skyclave. I guess I have to take this back. I kind of have to block here and here. And then take 1. I'm gonna path this. And then give pro black. Flickerwisp is probably my best draw because it takes care of the illusion and gives me a blocker. so much value from these Grave Crawlers and Bloodghasts. Thankfully, the illusion doesn't allow them to cast a Hogaak, which is nice. Come on, Flickerwisp. Land. So they're 1, 2, 3, 4, and a Vengevine in hand, I believe. Yeah. We can block 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Definitely rough without that graveyard hate in game 2. But I'm pretty happy to run back the same list and see how this fares. I'm not a big fan of this hand. The double Thalia doesn't help, and then no second white source in the opening is pretty tough, so I'm already in a position where I don't really want to draw another land, but I kind of have to here to be able to cast these two, so I'll mulligan once. This is a really good hand. That's a lot of hate. I'll keep this, and I think I'll just bottom the Flagstones here. Flagstones doesn't work too well with Rest in Peace because it's when it's put into a graveyard that it triggers. I guess it doesn't really matter, but... The Containment Priest and the Vial are a little bit rough, but we have the Rest in Peace for turn 2 as well. Just have to look out for Force of Vigor on Vial and Rest in Peace. And Rest in Peace. Stoneforge, that's pretty interesting. It's interesting, Stoneforge for Batterskull is great, but then if I'm holding up Batterskull next turn, I'm not playing Rest in Peace till then. I also don't want to get too... I don't want to get hit too hard by the... I think it's just Rest in Peace here. Because the other creatures can come off the Vial. We just get really blown out by Force of Vigor, but I'm okay with that. They didn't have it, which is great. Assassin's Trophy can deal with this, but then we have the Containment Priest, which is nice. I could activate the Vial and end step, but I don't want them to hit this, so I'll just let this happen. This is more than fine. Just hope they don't have Force here. That'd be pretty rough. Oh, Jitte. Okay. I don't mind Jitte and hold up Thalia. If I can get these two creatures off the field with the Jitte with the Rest in Peace in play, I'll be very happy. There's no great... They're going to attack, which is interesting. Maybe that makes me feel like they have an answer for the Rest in Peace. Gonna block the Bloodghast. Wow. Alright. So I could put this to 3 and hope to draw Flickerwisp to have some sort of interaction to like Assassin's Trophy on the Jitte or the Rest in Peace, but I think just keeping it at 2 here is fine. Because of these creatures, I'm going to use this mana to equip anyway, so I'm going to keep this at 2. Nice. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's huge. Now I'm pretty happy just to pass. Opponent does nothing. I'm definitely in the controller seat. Opponent going to fetch. That's fine. Altar. That's going to be fine with Rest in Peace in play. But... yeah, especially with only one land open, this is more than fine. Go Batterskull. I'm gonna keep this at 2 again. Great draw. Opponent in a really tough spot here. They could fetch here and then have green card and force. Looks like they're doing something. It looks like they're trying to use Force of Will. Yes, they have to fetch first. That's fine, we can't do anything here. At least they can't get the Batterskull. They can hit the Containment Priest, but that's going to be fine. What I've also done is waited on this Jitte to kill the Gravecrawler, because now I have the advantage of being able to respond to their play. So if I use the Jitte counter on the Gravecrawler, they could force a response to get rid of the Rest in Peace, and then I have to use another one. But here I get to hit this. They could have sacked it if they wanted to mill me, but now we can gain some life. These two happen. They're down to 0 cards as well, and we have Batterskull, so I'm not too unhappy. We also have Containment Priest as another live piece of interaction. And I think here it's just going to be beat down, so I will put in the Priest as well. I'm going to tick this up to 3 because I have 2 mana to cast whatever I want as a 2 CMC spell. So this just really helps if I draw into a 3/3 or 3 mana spell. Alright. There's also some consideration to not cast Stoneforge here and just hold up the Batterskull return, which I think is better. Alright, GG's. Pretty interesting game. Games 1 and 3, I believe my opponent just had a pretty fair opening, and that really allowed us to build out our board, which was nice. Game 2 was probably a more realistic experience against Hogaak, where they can just go wide with creatures that they get to rebuild. Really put some pressure on you finding your graveyard hate in either Surgical, Fairy Macabre, Rest in Peace, Leyline if you're playing that. But yeah, luckily here we got to kind of leverage some of our cards in a really nice way. Obviously Stoneforge into Batterskull is still a really great play against Hogaak. And having the Jitte and the Rest in Peace, making them use the force on that, and then having the Batterskull left over is cherry on top. So really happy with that. I'll see you for the last game in the next one. If you enjoyed this content, I would love a sub on YouTube. It's a free sub, so yeah, I usually upload content every week. Death and Taxes and Maverick content and other fair decks, but yeah, hopefully see you in the next one. Cheers.